Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. I tried recording this earlier. It was a 32-minute video, and then I went back and listened to it before I posted it and found out it didn't record sound. My microphone came unplugged sometime during recording, and I didn't fucking realize it. But by the sound of it, it wasn't recording the entire beginning time, even though the little recording app was saying it was picking up sound and it was hearing me. It didn't record sound. I'm pissed off. I even checked the volume on my computer. It's all the way up. Well, not all the way up, it's at 37. My TV's at Never mind. My point is, it didn't record. I've read through the whole thing. I know what happens. That means I should be able to read it faster, but something tells me it's going to make it harder to read, because now I already know what happens, and I'm going to be thinking ahead, and didn't make me cry, but it did surprise me. At the very end of that video, I went on a rant about why I think a certain character is the same as another certain character. I think they're the same person. I went kind of on a little rant about it. I'm going to try not to do that this time, but I probably am. I'm probably going to list off a couple ideas. No, I won't do it. Today we are reading His Reasons. It's a Todoroki X Reader fanfic by AshleyH713. This is season 4, chapter 2. Second attempt. It'll be posted May 8th. This is part 38. Ow. Hit the table. That was smart. I'm energetic. I'm pissed off right now because it didn't record properly. So now I'm in a bad mood. But let's begin. Amari walked with her duffel bag around her waist, now seeing Todoroki's house in the distance, just as massive and intimidating as all the times before. Just looking at the top of the corner made a sharp shiver go down her spine. She didn't think she'd ever get used to this place. Taking a breath of courage, she started to rethink her idea. Maybe going to his house to ask him on a date was too forward. Maybe she should just call him, although the girl couldn't help but want to see the boy after a long amount of time away from each other. Her training with Endeavor was helpful, but ended up taking most of her available time, which meant she saw Todoroki less and less. Mari decided that she wanted to fix that, opting to ask him out in person today. After speaking with security, the large gates opened and allowed her to step inside. Being Endeavor's trainee had some perks after all. Now she just had to find Todoroki. Walking down the long garden, Amari approached a large door only for it to be opened immediately as an older woman bowed. "Good afternoon. How may I be of assistance?" Her formal speak made the girl falter, trying her best to match it. I was wondering if I could talk to Shoto." The woman eyed her with disdain before turning around and entering the building smoothly. "Master Shoto has not yet returned, but you are welcome to wait for him in the foyer." I know it doesn't say foyer. I prefer foyer. "I'll show you the way, miss." Nodding slowly, Amari followed the woman a couple steps behind, already feeling way more intimidated than before. Maybe this was a bad idea after all. She didn't really fit in here. That's when they heard another voice stop the woman in her tracks, his voice curious and smooth. "Oh, we have a guest?" Blinking in surprise, Amari immediately bowed her head, now looking at the stranger's shoes. They looked to be some athletic kind. "Yes, sorry for disturbing. I was just looking for Shoto." That's when the stranger laughed, replying back playfully. "You said that last time as well. I'm beginning to think that running after Shoto is a hobby of yours." Turning her brow in confusion, Amari then lifted her head, only to lock eyes with a very familiar face. It was that guy that helped her during Todoroki's marriage interview. "It's you." Smirking back, he answered, "Yep, it's me, Todoroki Natsuo, at your service." Amari's eyes widened at the name. This man was a Todoroki? But wait, that meant... Did you just say Todoroki? Natsuo only nodded back, though. "Yeah, I'm Shoto's big brother. I got called back from college because my little brother was having a marriage interview, but it seems things didn't really go as planned. Did it, Bakugo?" The mention of a marriage interview, Amari looked guilty already, muttering an apology. "I'm sorry I made you leave for nothing. Although Todoroki's brother only shook his head, laughing slightly in return. "Are you kidding? You made that dull party something to remember. I mean, I heard you were headstrong from Fuyumi, but to think you raced in there without a second thought? Shoto really picked someone interesting. Mari's face couldn't help but light up at that. Yeah, I guess being reckless and stubborn is a flaw of mine. It's a blessing and a curse, sometimes. That's when Natsuo's face darkened for a moment, muttering back, "With this family, you'll need it." Narrowing her brow in confusion, she then heard a loud, booming voice echo through the space, Amari immediately recognizing who it was. Endeavor. Of course, that made sense, though. This was his house. Opening her mouth to speak, Amari suddenly felt herself being shoved towards the door, Natsuo seemingly nervous now. "Bakugo, you need to leave now." Calling back in confusion, the girl replied, "Why?" Although the boy gave no mercy, pushing her towards the door. "Trust me, it's safer if you leave. Just hurry." That's when Endeavor's voice stopped them, calling out in authority. "Oh, it's you. What are you doing here now, Bakugo?" Throwing the boy's arms off her, she moved to speak when Natsuo moved in front of her, now protecting her from the man for some reason. "Father, leave her be. She was just..." Yet Mari didn't understand the need for the tension, stepping away in question. "I was going to ask Shoto out on a date since I've been caught up with training recently. You know, since we haven't really seen each other and everything." Endeavor looked down on the girl for a moment before huffing back. "Don't forget about our session tomorrow. If you are even 1 minute late, I will reserve the right to cancel the appointment." Mari only frowned at that, though, nodding in response. All right, I get it, I swear. Would it kill you not to act like a jerk for once?" The man only looked away at that. "I'm harsh because it installs a work ethic and a sense of urgency to the training." Although the girl didn't buy that one bit, only laughing back. "Whatever you keep telling yourself. Don't worry, I'll be there, Endeavor." He seemed pleased with this, and Amari turned her head only to find Natsuo staring at her in absolute shock. He had never seen anyone speak to his father in that type of tone, well, besides his own family. It was almost like they knew each other already. This girl wasn't frightened at all. Then she looked down at her watch only to sigh. "Maybe I should come back on a different day. What am I going to do while I wait for him to come back?" That's when Todoroki's brother got an idea, a small smirk snaking onto his cheeks. "Why don't you go out with me?" Staring at him in confusion, she suddenly felt her hands intertwine with his as Natsuo turned to his father. "I've decided. I'm bringing Bakugo as my escort tonight." Never took one look at the girl before waving them off and leaving, not really caring about his son's plans. "Do whatever you'd like." Widening her eyes, she suddenly felt herself being pulled out the door as Natsuo ran out of the house, a knowing smirk on his face. "Come on, let's go." Not really understanding, Amari began to protest. "Wait, hold on. Where are you taking... What are you talking about? I'm supposed to meet Shoto today." That's when Natsuo stopped before showing his hand locked with hers. "Oh no, my brother can wait. Today I'm kidnapping you, little Bakugo." They walked down the street quietly, Natsuo dragging the girl until he heard her hard huffs of breath behind him, turning around for a moment to see her basically dying. "Bakugo, what's wrong?" Although Amari waved her hand away, willing the words to come to her lips. "Sorry. Running. Still not great. Working on stamina." Natsuo eyed her with concern and leaned over as she calmed her breaths. Was this girl sick or something? He couldn't help recall unpleasant memories. Because of it, though. She was kind of like him. "Oh, sorry. I didn't know you couldn't run like that. We can slow down." After a couple minutes, Amari's breath returned to normal, and they continued walking as she questioned. "Hey, so why did you kidnap me again?" Todoroki's brother stopped then, letting go of her hand for the first time and looking rather sad. "Back there. Why weren't you afraid of my father? Do you not know what happened?" Mari looked down at his words, knowing exactly what he meant and putting the pieces together. Was that why he was trying to get her to leave before? He didn't want her to meet Endeavor? "Shoto told me during the sports festival." Balling his hands into fists, Natsuo replied, "And you're still here. That's surprising." The girl looked at his sad eyes before taking a step forward. "I know he did some unforgivable things, and don't get me wrong, he's still an asshole. But I can't help but be grateful to him in a way." Ow. This got the boy confused. "Why?" That's when Amari gazed at her palms, her eyes dropping slightly. "He believes that I can be a hero and agreed to personally train me because of that. Just because I don't like him as a father doesn't mean I can't respect him as a hero." Natsu took in her words as a look of disbelief crossed his face. His father training someone? and on top of that, someone as weak as her? No, it couldn't be. Anyone outside of his family was a failure to him, even his own children. He's training you. Nodding her head, Amari replied, I don't know why either, but I can't give up this chance, and I think we have an understanding between each other now at least. Now we can, at least, tolerate each other. Amari chuckled at the idea, only for Natsuo's face to curve into a small smile. Dang, Bakugo, I was going to warn you about our family, but it seems like you've been carrying your own against my old man. That's pretty impressive. One word stuck in the girl's mind at his words, though. Wait, why would you want to warn me? The boy's face fell then, before grabbing onto her hand once more and pulling the poor girl in a small shop in the corner. First, let's get you ready. Turning her brow in confusion, Amari replied, Ready for what? Although Natsuo didn't give her an answer, as he just dragged the poor girl into the store, now being greeted by shelves upon shelves of fancy-looking dresses. They stopped when a couple workers bowed to them smoothly. Good afternoon. How may we help you today? Just then, Amari felt herself getting pushed forward as Natsuo spoke. Prepare something that suits her. Not really understanding, the girl went to open her mouth as the woman just nodded and began pushing Amari towards the dressing room forcibly, now being very dead set on changing her. Right this way, miss. Shouting back, Amari frowned. Todoroki, what the hell? But the boy only smiled as she was pushed into the other room. Call me Natsuo. Anyone special to my little Shoto is special to me. Amari found herself now standing in front of about 100 or so fancy dresses. What was this guy's deal? The fact that Shoto was raised separately was evident now, given the rest of his family had over-the-top personalities. Well, she supposed she should give the boy what he wanted, and began to take the first dress off the rack, all while calling back to the boy. Why are you doing all of this? She heard his voice over the stall reply. I want to see just what kind of girl my little brother had chosen. Shoto has never been interested in the idea of dating, so when Fuyumi told me about you, well, I knew I had to see for myself what you were like. Placing the dress over her head, Amari frowned. He's never talked about dating before? Natsuo shook his head, though, hearing his voice sadden. Father made sure there were more pressing matters on his mind, like beating his rival. Because of that, Shoto never got to experience the same things we did. That's why I worry about him, and why I'm thankful to you, Bakugo. Amari paused then, feeling a pit of sadness in her stomach. Todoroki's childhood really was rough. That wasn't something she could fix so easily. There is no need to be thankful to me. I haven't done much. I just don't want him to experience any more sadness. Although Todoroki's brother only smiled. You're wrong, Bakugo. I saw the way you both acted during the marriage interview. I don't think I've ever seen my little brother have that much passion in his eyes before. The only reason he looked like that was because he was gazing at you. The girl felt her cheeks flush in embarrassment, recalling the words they exchanged during the marriage interview. She had never imagined that she could erase his scars, but hearing Natsuo now, maybe she had brought a little life into his eyes after all. She was thankful for that. The room was silent for a moment before Amari's mind sunk to a new topic, starting to zip up the dress slowly. Natsuo, what did you mean when you said you wanted to warn me about your family? Silence continued for a couple moments before she heard his voice, just barely. Since you know about what happened in the past, I don't think I have to explain much. It's just a dark cloud has been over our family for years, and I don't want you to get hurt because of it. Bakugo, I know you love my brother, but if you decide to stay with him, who knows what you could encounter. Amari looked down at the floor then, already knowing what her next words were going to be. You know, Natsuo, I've had my own hardships in life as well, and time again, I wished for someone to be with me through those moments. That's when I met Shoto. He helped me find myself again, and I already promised that I would do the same, so no matter what happens, I'm never going to abandon him. Taking in her words, Natsuo couldn't help but be amazed. You've got guts, Bakugo. I admire that. I'm happy to know that my brother is in such loving hands now. He deserves to be happy again, after everything that happened. Picking out his words, Amari called back softly, like with Toya. This caused Natsuo's face to drop, the name bringing a soft shiver to his spine. How do you know about that? Just then, the door opened to reveal Amari in a short, deep red party dress. It ruffled at the bottom and had an assortment of small red roses stuck to the bodice. The boy's face couldn't help but smile at her. The color, it suited her. Looking good. The girl moved up to the large mirror before smoothing the dress down once. She looked so fancy. It was kind of strange. It feels weird. Natsuo's hands landed on her shoulders then, smiling proudly. You'll get used to it. If you want to date my brother, then you have to step into his world a bit. I think it suits you. Staring back towards the mirror, Amari placed one hand on the surface before sighing. She wasn't rich by any means, so wearing such an expensive dress felt off to her. Was this really how Todoroki lived? Then she got back to the topic at hand, knowing that the boy was trying to change the subject. Natsuo, please, tell me what happened to Toya. His hands fell from her shoulders then, taking in a shaky breath before replying. I suppose it only makes sense, now that you know every other family secret. A small silence appeared then before he continued. Toya was the oldest in the family, right next to me, so I knew him probably the best. We were really close back then. Nodding her head, Amari asked, What happened? Natsuo chose to stare at the ground then. When we were kids, he had a weak condition like our mother, so father deemed him a failure and rejected him like the rest of us. Toya took it the hardest out of all of us, though, wanting nothing more than to earn his approval, but his quirk was just too weak. Mari felt a small lump of pain in her throat then, knowing that the story sounded very familiar to her own, except, in Toya's case, he wanted his father's attention. She knew how hard that was. Maybe that's why Endeavor had a soft spot for her now, because she reminded him of his son. Balling his hands into fists, Todoroki's brother willed the tears from his eyes. The realization was too much for him, so he committed suicide. He used his quirk to start a fire and made it so they couldn't find his body until it was too late. Our father drove him to that point, and I will never forgive him for that. The dark air around them weighed down on the two as Amari felt tears well up in her own eyes from the story. She could understand Toya's pain better than anyone. I'm sorry. Shaking his head, Natsuo frowned. That's why I left as soon as I could. I just couldn't stand being in that house knowing what that monster did. Toya didn't deserve that. All he wanted was love. The tears poured down his face as Amari rubbed his back with her left hand. She hated to think what would have become of her if Todoroki hadn't saved her. I'm sure he tried as hard as he could. Nodding his head back, Amari then looked at the ground for a moment before muttering softly, What if you could see him again? Would you take the chance? That's when the boy lifted his head up, wiping his eyes roughly. Bakuro, you know that's impossible, but if I could, I would take the chance in a heartbeat. Amari gave an unreadable expression then, before smiling back. I wouldn't say impossible. He turned his head in confusion when suddenly the boy's phone rang in his pocket, pulling an object out for a moment before shoving back and not answering it. Sorry about that, let's move on to something happier. We better get going or we're going to be late. Dropping the conversation, Amari turned her head in confusion. Late for what? Although Natsuo only smirked, snapping his fingers as a couple women crowded around him. Ladies, please give her something elegant. Then almost immediately the woman pulled Amari away, much to her protest as they aggressively started combing her hair and breaking out heaps of makeup. A couple hours later, Amari found herself completely dolled up, complete with a neat bun to showcase, long gold earrings, and a matching gold necklace to finish off the look. She still didn't understand what was even happening as Natsuo led her to a large estate on the corner of town. Natsuo, now are you going to tell me what's going on here? Although he only shook his head, fixing his black jacket instead. You'll see. Now, come on, my escort. We don't want to keep everyone waiting. Then he grabbed her hand and practically dragged her inside the estate, now seeing hundreds of well-dressed men and women around her. Was this some kind of party or something? They all eyed her as they went until Amari found herself in the middle of a lavish garden party, with many more guests making small talk and giggling around the area. Why in hell was she even here? Then he ushered her down the steps with him, as they made their way into the corner, only to find a very familiar head of red and white striped hair in front of them. He looked to be talking to some other guest with his back turned. To be completely honest, he kind of looked bored and miserable. Natsuo only smirked, though, reaching up and tapping the boy on his shoulder, now excited to see his reaction. Shoto, I have a surprise for you. The boy only sighed, though, turning around only for his eyes to widen in confusion and shock. Amari? What are you doing here? Throwing an arm around her shoulder, though, Natsuo answered for her. She's my escort tonight. You told me you didn't want to go to this dull party, so I brought some excitement. I bet you're happy you came now, huh? Although Todoroki only seemed concerned, turning to the girl in question. You agreed to be his escort? Amari only smiled nervously, though, answering back truthfully. Not really. He kind of just kidnapped me and didn't tell me what was going on, although I'm happy to see you. I hope I'm not bothering anything. The boy's eyes dropped to ones of annoyance as he turned back to his brother with a glare. You forced her to come? Sensing his unhappy tone, Natsuo threw his hands up. Whoa, calm down, little brother. I did this for you. She was waiting for you anyway, so I thought I might as well make it easier. Sighing in exasperation, knowing that Amari got caught up in his brother's game, Todoroki turned back to the girl before giving an apologetic look. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. Natsuo tends to enjoy messing with others. The girl only smiled, though, causing Natsuo to point at her outfit. Hey, I had good intentions. I mean, did you even notice how pretty she looks? Todoroki's eyes deepened before replying low and smooth. Oh, believe me, I noticed. Mari's face lit up then, a red hue occupying her cheeks. How could he be so smooth like that, all the time? Her heart couldn't take it. Oh, thank you. Noticing their interaction, Natsuo decided to pick on his brother further, now taking Amari's hand in his. Well, since you don't want her to be here, then I'll have to show her a fun time instead. Come on, Bakugo, let's dance. He began to pull away, only in time to see his brother's annoyed expression. Natsuo had to admit, seeing his little brother's jealous face was way too fun, now ignoring Amari's protest. Wait, hold on. But of course the boy didn't listen, already dragging her to the dance floor. Todoroki was about to take a step forward when a small voice stopped him in his tracks, now turning to see a young brown-haired girl before. Excuse me, Todoroki, would you like to dance with me? He eyed the unknown woman for a moment before deciding his answer immediately. I apologize, but I will only dance with one woman, and she's right there. Todoroki then locked eyes with Amari as she flushed at his words, now seeing him approach the two quickly before slapping his brother's hand off her. Now, if you would excuse me. Locking his hand with hers, the boy then led Bakugo's sister away from his brother and to the dance floor, his eyes sad. I'm sorry again for getting you involved with all of this. Although Amari couldn't help but smile, shaking her head. I'm actually kind of glad your brother brought me here. It's like I can see into your world a little bit. It seems I know nothing about this side of you yet. Todoroki narrowed his eyes then, looking around at the lavish party with disdain. It's not a side you need to know about. All of the other people are here only because of a family name. Nothing else matters to them. They all have such a shallow way of thinking. The girl looked around at the eyes staring at them before shaking her head and squeezing his hand in response. If it's part of your world, then I want to know about it. Even the ugliest parts. I want to see them for myself. He couldn't help but feel his chest flutter at her words. Never had he met someone that wanted to see the darkness and his family so openly like her. It made him want to treasure her. Very well. Then he led her towards the dance floor, only for Amari to panic. Wait, are we actually dancing? Oh, Shoto. Oh no, Shoto, I can't dance. I haven't been trained like you have, and I'll probably make a huge laughingstock out of you. Plus, let's not even mention our height difference. Although Todoroki only put a finger up to her lips, silencing her rambling. It's alright, just lean on me. I won't let you fall. Now take off your shoes. Mari still wasn't sure about this, but the look in his eyes made her want to agree, now moving to the floor as eyes glued onto her. Maybe this was a bad idea. Okay, so how do we do this? I'm telling you, it's not going to work. I'm too short. I can't see like that. Although, just as she said that, Todoroki's hand wrapped around her waist, hoisting the girl up so that they were eye level before placing her feet on top of his shoes, giving her almost enough height to reach his face. Then he placed one hand on her back before starting to move to the music. The girl's body followed his lead as they were now attached. Wasn't this how children were supposed to dance with their parents? Although she couldn't help but like the feeling of being close to him. Moving in time, Todoroki's steady hand grasped her back the entire time so that she wouldn't fall, as many onlookers whispered about their interaction. Although all Amari could think about was him in this moment. Seeing the look in his eyes, Todoroki Seeing the look in her eyes, Todoroki couldn't help but smile under his breath as well, thinking that she looked really beautiful in this moment. He must have done something right to be able to have someone as amazing as her in his life. Natsuo watched his brothers smile and felt a sense of joy in his chest at the motion. He had only seen Shoto smile a couple times before, but never like this. That proved it. This girl was really saving him. She just didn't know it. The song stopped softly afterwards, and Amari stepped off his shoes before putting her own back on. Thanks, Shoto, although I'm sure that wasn't the right way to dance. I'm sorry I'm so short that you had to do that. Although Todoroki only shook his head, helping her up from the floor after she finished buckling her shoes. I wouldn't have it any other way. He leaned forward to kiss her hand as Amari blushed, now turning away from the boy. You can't do that to me. You can't be all smooth like that, Shoto. It's not fair. Yet the boy only smiled as Natsuo suddenly grasped onto Amari's shoulder roughly, almost knocking the poor girl over. See, isn't it good that I brought her? You can thank me any time, brother. Although Todoroki... That's funny. You gotta admit. Although Todoroki only shook his head, proving he wasn't going to get a thank you after all. I really wish you wouldn't bring Amari into your schemes. Natsuo fake gasped then, bringing the girl closer to him all at once. Now, that's just rude. You know it's good for her to get used to these things. You know, considering... That's when Todoroki's brother whispered something in Amari's ear. Caused the girl to grow extremely red and smack his hand away. Although Natsuo could only smirk at her reaction. Alright, well, I should get going. Have fun, you crazy kids. Crazy kid. Okay. Then, before Amari could yell at him, the boy was gone, causing her to sigh in exasperation. That was until Todoroki spoke, now concerned. What did my brother say to you? Jumping 5 feet in the air, Amari gasped before shaking her head absent-mindedly, the red hue still in her face. Oh, it was nothing. He was just joking around. Trust me, it's nothing to worry about. Todoroki raised an eye at this, not believing her words, but also not wanting to pry. It didn't seem like a bad thing, so he left it alone. Alright then, we should be heading back also. I'll take you home. The girl nodded her head and followed the boy out, only for Natsuo's words to tickle her ear and make her blush secretly. You know, considering you're going to be a Todoroki as well someday. Amari walked into the Tartarus prison silently before being escorted into a large glass room with a small chair in the center. Although no one was on the other side, seems he wasn't here yet. Taking a step towards the chair and sitting, the door suddenly opened. A very familiar voice echoed through the walls. When they told me I had a visitor, I had no idea it was going to be you. The guards pushed the villain into the room before locking it behind them, Dobby now getting a good look at the girl who betrayed him. So what? Do you want to brag or something? Mari looked down at the floor then before speaking. I'm sorry things played out the way they did. I hope you're doing well. The men couldn't help but smirk at that. Here I thought you finally understood, but you were just being a puppet for Endeavor the entire time. Why do you ask if I'm doing well, when you're the one that put me here in the first place? He seemed angry, which she realized was justified. I know you were trying to help, but I'm just not a villain, and I know for a fact that this isn't you at all. This isn't all of you either. Raising a brown question, Dobby replied. What are you trying to say? That's when Amari reached into her bag before pulling out an old scrapbook. I'm gonna bring you home. Dobby thought about her words for a moment before letting out a large fit of laughter. And how are you going to do that, sweetheart? Newsflash, I don't have a home. The girl only frowned, though. Yes, you do. Quit trying to write them out of your lives. If anyone can understand, it's me. You knew that our stories were similar, right? That's why you asked me to join you. Well, now I'm asking you to join me. Rolling his eyes back, the villain hissed. You're delusional. Although Amari shook her head, standing up to place a hand on the glass. I'm not, though, and you know it. I know being a villain isn't all you are. Back when I was kidnapped, you only tried to help me. Everyone else wanted to torture and kill me, but you wanted to help me, Dobby. That's not what a villain does. The villain stared at her for a couple more seconds before shaking his head. You think everything fits in that perfect world of yours, sweetheart, but that isn't the case. Having faith like that is just going to get you killed. In fact, if I was free right now, I would kill you just to make that point. His words sounded cruel, but Amari didn't back down. Then why didn't you? You had the chance so many times, but you never hurt me. I see right through you, Dabi. You are not only a villain. There's something else inside you. Dabi eyed the girl with disdain for a couple moments before asking darkly, why do you want to help me now anyways? I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but you're the one that put me in this prison in the first place. That's when Amari placed a hand on the glass before locking eyes with the man she knew all too well, a sense of passion in her voice. That's because I'm not helping Dabi the villain. Then she narrowed her eyes before finishing her sentence and slapping his childhood photo on the glass. I'm helping Toya Todoroki. Yep, see, I agree with this. I fully believe Dabi and Toya Todoroki are the same person, just like this person. And I did go on a rant in the last video. I'm not gonna do that this time. No, don't. I won't do it. I'm not. Okay. I have points why I think it's okay. I gotta stop. This is gonna get on too long. Okay, check her out. She's got good stuff. I mean, really, like, okay. Dabi and Toya have to be the same person. Okay, I can't. Gotta stop. Check her out. She's a good writer. There's something missing. I'll put the link in the description. You will hear me in the next video. Bye-bye.